What is going on, everybody? Another week and another video here on the channel, Infinity Knowledge with Aryan. I'm super hyped for today's video because we're going to be concluding the Power Technology series with a really interesting topic, the future of power. I'm super excited, so consider subscribing and liking this video with post notifications on, and let's get this video going. And also, always remember, listen, learn, and leap forward. So we have been talking about power technologies for some time now. So I want to dive in on a little bit about climate change. We are going through a very major climate crisis that is driven by global warming. I'm going to be talking about 3 power and energy technologies that would help us with addressing the climate crisis. First, we're going to talk about nuclear fission. Then we're going to move on to solar energy, and we will also talk about bioenergy. Using these 3 forms of producing and generating energy is helping us save ourselves from this climate crisis. So, for all of these, we're going to be talking about how it works, how it's clean, and a brief description of each energy type. Nuclear fission. Nuclear fission is the same way that the sun generates its own energy. So what really is nuclear fission? Well, it's the process of a large and heavy atom being split. This causes energy to be generated. You probably have seen science fiction movies or scenes just like this one in the Spider-Man 2 movie. But as we learn more about nuclear fission, this impossible scene might actually become less of a fiction. In about 10 years, people are saying that nuclear fission might be possible on Earth. That's right, the power of the sun could be on your palm. In a nuclear reaction, the big nucleus is split apart and turns into smaller nuclei. The nucleus at first is very unstable, which is why it splits apart in the first place, turning into nuclei, which is much more stable. Nuclear fission can turn into uranium-236, which is an extremely dangerous and reactive chemical. That's why it cannot be used on Earth as easily as of right now. But it might become safe in the future as scientists are figuring it out. During nuclear fission, energy is released in both forms of heat and radiation. Both nuclear fission and nuclear fusion release energy, but these two are not the same. Nuclear fusion is where light nuclei collide and produce energy, and nuclear fission is when the nucleus is split apart to create nuclei. Now, what this means in simple terms is that nuclear fission is when it's being split apart, and nuclear fusion is basically the opposite. It's being collided together to produce its own energy. A nuclear fission provides energy for things such as nuclear submarines, nuclear power plants, and even nuclear bombs. In the nuclear fission, we start with unstable atoms, and as it splits into nuclei, it becomes a lot more stable. In any situation, when something unstable splits into something stable, it releases an immense amount of energy. So nuclear fission is a huge project for the future, but we do have things as of today that can help us with this climate crisis, such as solar power. Solar power is not only a huge way that people are supplied with energy, but it is also one of the most efficient ways to supply energy to large areas. Solar power is energy that is obtained by harnessing the sun's energy. When the sun's rays hit the solar panels, they are converted into electrons and start an electrical current that goes throughout the area. The main alternative to solar energy is the power grid. Poll results show that 92% of people use solar power. Watts are the most common form of units that we use for solar power. 1 watt is equivalent to about 1 joule, and a kilowatt is equivalent to about 1,000 watts, and so on. Solar power has also been harvested by plants, microorganisms, since the beginning of life. A quick fun fact is that solar power even works in winter. because the rays depend on the sun's light, not the sun's heat. The future of solar power circulates around two main big projects, which are photovoltaics and concentrated solar power, which is also known as solar thermal. There is a big future for solar power coming up, but if you want to learn a little bit more about the process of how solar power works, go ahead and check out my other video on this channel. So another big way to generate energy and supply it where it needs to go is through bioenergy. Bioenergy is another huge form of energy that will be used often in the future. Bioenergy is basically energy that is produced from animals, plants, and living creatures. Bioenergy is a growing form of renewable energy. Biomass is the only way the energy can be put in a liquid form, such as ethanol. So bioenergy is used for cars, biodiesel, and a lot more. A few very common examples of bioenergy that happen in our every single day lives are burning wood to create fire, sawmills are powered by wood dust, and even to make energies for cars in a few countries. In a few countries, some cars use bioenergy to fuel them. Another quick fun fact is that even garbage and trash are used for producing energy. They take everything that they can and find a way to generate energy from it. Three huge types of bioenergy are agricultural, sewage, and forestry. In agricultural, rapeseed and sugarcane are grown and processed into biomass. Sludge from sewage can be broken down and burned to make fuel. And also, trees can be burned for heat and light. Unfortunately, burning trees is very harmful and can hurt the environment, so many people don't like forestry being made into light and heat. But agricultural and sewage is a really, really big way to produce and generate energy. Overall, these three huge ways to generate energy can be used a lot in the future for various purposes. I can conclude by saying that not only does the future of power have high expectations, but many things will allow us to help climate change stop and lead to safer sources with renewable energy. Alrighty everybody, this is the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching today's video and hopefully you learned a little bit about the future of power. I encourage you to go on and learn a little bit more yourself, do the research, and you might find something really, really interesting. So, always remember, as we always say on this channel, always be curious